Regular council meeting to order at this point. The City Council, City of Rialto, acting successor agency to the redevelopment agency. The Rialto Utilities Authority, Rialto Housing Authority will come to session at this point. We'll ask for a roll call.
Mayor Bachman.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Scott.
Present.
Councilmember Carricellis.
Present.
Councilmember Perez.
Present.
Councilmember Montoya.
Present.
City Attorney Eric Bell.
Present.
City Manager Tanya Wood.
Present.
At this time, before we go into closed session, is there anybody in the audience that would like to address us in closed session? Seeing that there's none, I'll call in the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. We have only one item on your closed session today. It's a conference with the labor negotiators, City Manager Tanya Williams, and Human Resources Director Sean Curran with regard to the bargaining groups listed. As you already mentioned, there's no people in the audience to comment, so you can recess into closed session.
Okay, do I hear a motion to recess to go into closed session? Moved by Andy Caraceres. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Edward Montoya. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, we'll go into closed session. The regular meeting to order at this point. The City Council, City of Rialto, acting successor agency to the redevelopment agency, the Rialto Utility Authorities, the Rialto Housing Authority will come to order. So at this time, we'll ask for roll call.
Mayor Baca,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Scott,
Present.
Councilmember Carla Perez,
Present.
Councilmember Caracellis,
Present.
Councilmember Matoya,
Present.
City Treasurer Ed Carrillo,
Present.
City Attorney Eric Bell,
Present.
and City Manager Tanya Williams.
Present.
Okay, at this time, if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, it will be led by Councilmember Edward Montoya, Jr.
Place your right hand over your heart, face the flag, please. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you can remain standing, we'll have the invocation by Pastor Dr. Victor Nolan from the Word in Action Christian Center.
Let's bow. Lord God, we thank you. Lord God, we thank you for peace. We thank you for clarity. We thank you for this city council. We invite your presence, your direction, and your guidance as we seek to do your will and do what's best for this city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. At this time, you can all be seated. We'll call on the city attorney to give us a report about closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. We had one item in closed session. That was a meeting with your labor negotiators. You received a briefing from your Human Resources Director, Shama Kurian, and there was no other discussion or reportable item on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions in reference to that? Seeing none, we'll move on to presentations and proclamations. I have two I'd like to present, and that's to employees from Omitran, if they would. In behalf of the City of Rialto and members of the City Council, Ed Scott, Mayor Pro Tem, Carla Perez, Council Member, Andy Calaceres, Council Member, Edward Montoya, we'd like to present a certificate of appreciation to Alejandro Castro. Could you please come up? Alejandro, to recognize your dedication and exceptional service in the maintenance department and to express our congratulations on being selected Employee of the Year for Omitran. The City of Rialto congratulates you for that honor. Congratulations. And he's a resident of the City of Rialto.
Just wanted to thank everybody. This is a great honor. Thank you.
Thank you. The next individual is Jose Gonzalez, employee of Quarter Maintenance. Also, the certificate is not only on behalf of me, the mayor, but Mayor Pro Tem Ed Scott, Andy Calaceres, Council Member, Carla Perez, and Edward Montoya. So on behalf of the total council, we'd like to present this to Jose Gonzalez. And he's also a resident of the City of Rialto and employed by Omitrans. To recognize your dedication and exceptional service in the maintenance department and to express our congratulations on being selected Employee of the Quarter. The City of Rialto congratulates you.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. A shout out to my wife. She makes me go to work every day.
Next, we'll move to oral communications. Do we have anyone that would like to speak in oral
Oh,
communications?
yes, we have one, Christopher Carter. You can go to the mic, sir.
Good evening. I just drove 2.5 hours in traffic, so bear with me. Good evening, Mayor Baca and council members. My name is Christopher Cota. I'm here again to stay consistent with the movement that I'm currently starting with the revival of Margaret Todd Park. The skate park and the grass area are in need of lights for their maximum use, and the park residents, since I've attended the last council meeting a month ago, the reprogramming of the light that has always been on during the day but not at night has been correctly programmed. Blue paint has also been used by Public Works to cover up the graffiti. And I even saw workers walking with security camera company looking at quoting for new potential security cameras. Soon I hope to see the reinstallation of the water fountain that used to be on site at the park more than 10 years ago. Unfortunately, got ripped out due to vandalization. But back then, there was no security guard, there was no fencing around the park, which is now in the works and which is effective. Water is a necessity for a park. Lighting is critical for a skate park. I want to show that I'm proof of what can be done when you speak up and go about things in the right manner. I will end now with 2 questions. What is the next step in the process to shine some light on Margaret Todd's Park? Surveys, petition signatures, and finally, how can I get in touch with, I see you're now Tanya Williams, and as Mayor Baca instructed me to do so last meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to give you a little update, we did see the picture, I think, that was sent to almost all of us on the lighting. So apparently the lightings are on, whether they're dark enough or light enough, I don't know. Maybe Cynthia, you could give us a little update in reference to what's going on there?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. So the type of lighting that particular facility has is called security lighting. It is bright enough for some activity. What Chris is requesting is field lighting, which is what we would find at our sports fields.
Okay, but maybe we should address the graffiti and problems with the water and others. We could look into that, okay? Thank you very much. Any other individual that we have? Seeing no others, then we'll move on to the consent calendar. Is there any items that member of the council wishes to pull out?
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Motion's been made by Mayor Pro Tem Ed Scott, seconded by Andy Caraceres. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries. Consent calendar is approved. At this point then, and we'll move on to tab 1. And this is for a public hearing.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Tab 1 is a public hearing and will be presented to you this evening by Daniel Casey, our Principal Planner in the Community Development Department.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council. I'm Daniel Casey, Principal Planner. I'll be making the presentation here on tab 1. On January 28th, 2025, the City Council adopted Urgency Ordinance number 1697, which established a 45-day moratorium on the establishment, modification, expansion, or intensification of indoor storage facilities, which includes both warehouses and fulfillment centers. Since the adoption of that ordinance, staff has begun the analysis as well as developing and discussing appropriate regulations to address the concerns in that ordinance. But additional time is needed in order to prepare those items. And so staff, in accordance with state law, has prepared an ordinance before you tonight to extend the moratorium for an additional 10 months and 15 days. I do also want to note that there should be a red line version of the moratorium before each of you tonight The version that was published did have a few inconsistencies with the moratorium that was adopted on January 28th. Those inconsistencies have been fixed in the red line version before you. And so with that, the staff recommends that the City Council adopt the ordinance 1698, extending the moratorium 10 months, 15 days. And that concludes my presentation, if you have any questions.
Good. Are there any questions by any member of the council in reference to the?
Mr. Mayor, this is a public hearing. Could we ask if any member of the audience would like to speak?
Is there any member of the audience that would like to address this?
Motion to close public hearing?
Motion's been made to close public hearing.
Second.
And seconded by Ed Scott. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, seeing none, motion carries. We'll move on to,
Well, let's take the action.
now, pardon me?
Take the action.
Now we'll take action on it. So, is there any discussion on tab 1?
Yes.
Ed, Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Ed Scott?
Daniel, you're proposing to extend it by 10 months and how many days?
And 15 days.
Okay. And the purpose for this moratorium is to take a look at zoning and whether we have appropriate zoning in certain areas where technically now they would be zoned industrial, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, what happens if there's a project that wants to come forward within that 10-month period that is in a proper zoned area? Are we going to deny that application, or are we going to go ahead and process it?
Good question. If an application were to, or if a project was proposed that is subject to the moratorium, an application would be accepted and reviewed by staff, but it will not be scheduled for any type of action until the moratorium is either, expired or an ordinance has been adopted addressing the concerns from the moratorium.
Well, I have a little bit of an issue with your time frame on this, because we had asked that this, that staff move in a much faster manner to address these zoning issues, and I think 10 months is a long time.
Okay.
So I think the compromise would be to say that if there is a project that is appropriately applied for a project in a properly zoned area that doesn't need to be re-looked at or possibly rezoned, that we would go ahead and entertain that and move that project forward in the normal manner that we would. Would that be appropriate, Mr. Vale?
We could make that change. The alternative is to reduce the time. Staff indicates in the staff report that they feel that they can complete the necessary work within 6 months. So one alternative you could have tonight would be to make the moratorium last no longer than 6 months.
Okay, that would be acceptable certainly to me. 10 months is too long.
And if you
But either
want
way,
to,
if something comes up in the next 3 months, we're gonna have them wait
Well,
another 3.
if you, let's just go through the process. If let's say, Mr. Carosalis submitted an application for a site, what would be the time frame between when you started reviewing it and the time that it would actually go to a hearing? If it needed to go, well, it would have to go to planning no matter what.
Correct, yep.
What would be the normal time frame?
Approximately 6 months, that would be.
So his application could be in process,
Yes.
and just with the understanding that his hearing would be in 6 months.
Yes.
And you also could make an amendment to it to include the concerns that you mentioned as well into it, to make sure that it complies with the zoning aspect of it if there is someone that makes an application, if you want to make an amendment to it.
Well, what I'm more concerned about is that we address the properties that clearly have an issue. And that we look at some rezoning. And frankly, I'm gonna add one to it. I'm gonna ask that we add one to it. And that would be the Renaissance Parkway from Alder to Ayala. There are some current properties there, some of them owned by the city that are zoned industrial, that I frankly think we should look at the possibility of rezoning them to commercial.
We will.
Specifically the north side of Renaissance. You're familiar, I think
Yes.
Linden to Locust
Along the
is
freeway
one,
frontage.
yeah, and then the other property, I believe Hillwood maybe owns.
Okay.
Would you
But-
like to make that into a set of a motion to be included?
Well, I want to hear what everybody else has to say, and then I'll make a motion.
I am also in agreement. Thank you, Mayor. You know, I feel 10 months and 15 days is just way too long. You know, as it is, it is a lengthy process. So I think moving it, reducing the time frame would be ideal.
Okay. Anybody else? Andy, Calcetis?
No.
See no one else?
Okay, my motion
Scott.
would be to approve this item, but reduce the time frame to 6 months. Additionally, for the purpose of reviewing zoning in specific areas, I'd like to add the Renaissance Parkway between Alder and Ayala, specifically the two properties that are between Linden and Alder on the north side of Casmelia.
And,
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem, before we have any discussion, I just want to tell you how we will implement that change. There are 4 places in the ordinance that we will adjust so that it doesn't say 10 months and 15 days, but instead it will say 6 months. I suggest that we have the moratorium end on August 26th of 2005. The reason being, that coincides with a council meeting that you'll have in August? 2025, I'm sorry, yes. August 26th, 2025.
The future?
We're way ahead of myself there. That way, the moratorium would end on that date, and that would give time, sufficient time for staff to complete the process and have the ordinance take effect on that date.
That makes sense.
Would that give you enough time, Daniel?
Yes, staff's confident that'd be enough.
Okay. The amendment then would say that we would have it for 6 months, including the zoning with specific areas, and then it would be to August 26, 2025.
Correct.
That is correct? Okay. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Oh, we did? Okay. Any other discussion?
Roll call.
Roll call.
That was August 26, 25.
Yes.
Right, okay,
2025.
just making my notes. Mayor Pro Tem Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Caracellis,
Aye.
Councilmember Carla Perez,
Aye.
Councilmember Eddie Montoya,
Aye.
and Mayor Baca.
Aye.
I'll read the ordinance into the record.
And City Clerk, the title of the ordinance. Good, it doesn't refer to the 10 months and 10 days, I just want to make sure.
Would you like me to read it into the record?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm gonna pick the ordinance, what I have in the agenda, which would be 1698. Correct. For an interim urgency ordinance of the City Council of the City of Rialto, California, extending the provisions of ordinance 1697, establish a temporary moratorium on the establishment, expanding of intensification of indoor storage facilities within the judication boundaries of the City of Rialto. And we have done a roll call. So, thank you, Mayor.
Next item is tab 2. Request for City Council to conduct a public hearing to solicit public comments from interested citizens regarding housing and community development needs concerning the 5-year 2025-29 consolidation plan for allocations of community development block grants and home investment partnership home funds.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. Tab 2, you already read all the verbiage for me, so thank you. Our consultant, Anna Lanou from AGI, will be giving you a full presentation, doing an overview on the 5-year consolidation plan.
Thank you and good evening. As mentioned, my name is Anna Marie Lanou, and I'm assisting the city with the HUD compliance. And today we're going to talk about the process for the consolidated plan from 2025 to 2029. Is the, oh, there it is, okay. Next slide, please. Oh, I have it, I'm sorry, my bad. There we go, okay. The 5-year consolidated plan is, it's a requirement in order for you to basically receive your annual allocations, which are your CDBG and now your home funds. So this particular consolidated plan will be for the period beginning July 1st of 2025 through June 30th of 2030. And so we refer to it as the beginning of the fiscal years 2025 to 2029. It is your official application to HUD for the CDBG and home programs, and it provides the strategy for addressing critical housing and community development needs of the city residents. So your current goals and priorities are, your current priority needs as identified in the last process of developing this consolidated plan include improving public facilities and infrastructure, providing public services to help low-income residents succeed, preserving the supply of affordable housing, and ensuring equal access to housing opportunities. So once these high priority needs were established, the goals that would assist you in programming the funds that you received every year to address those particular priorities resulted in these goals. So you currently have these goals: community facilities and infrastructure improvements. And this goal would be allowing you to make improvements to your recreation buildings, to eligible streets, ADA improvements throughout the city as well. Public services for your low-income residents, that's currently that 15% that's allowed from your annual CDBG allocation that can be used for public services. Housing preservation, that would be your residential rehab, or if you were doing a graffiti abatement, those types of programs. And then your fair housing services, which is a requirement. So the elements of the consolidated plan, there is a needs assessment that's currently being drafted, taking a look at all of the data that's available from HUD, as well as other regional organizations like looking at homeless data, those types of things. Your housing market analysis, and your citizen participation plan, the annual action plan, and that's all going to be utilized to come up with your 5-year strategic goal. So the con plan is your overarching document, and then each year you'll have 5 action plans. So we're currently in the number 5 action plan of your current consolidated plan. So year 1 of your action plan will also be presented at the time of the next public hearing, when the community would have had 30 days to review the document, and another public hearing will take place, and you would have a chance to make changes or accept the document as presented. So that'll include action plan year 1. And then following that, you'll have your subsequent years of action plans. And that would be for both your CDBG and home, your future allocations of CDBG and home. So these allocations are annual, and the funds that you've been receiving, this year's allocation in CDBG was $1,151,844, and your home allocation this year was $374,469.26. This was your first year to receive your home allocation, so moving forward, we'll anticipate that the city would continue to receive that in your next 5 years. The annual action plan activities must meet a national objective. There are 3 national objectives. The primary, 99% of the time, the funds are programmed to benefit low and moderate income persons. The other 2 national objectives would be if you had an area designated as slum or blight, you would be able to utilize funds to improve that area. And then the third one, which is referred to as urgent need, is meeting a particular urgency. And those are usually projects or problems that have occurred due to a disaster, like flooding or fires or hurricanes, those types of things that would be regional. Home funds are utilized to carry out eligible affordable housing activities that benefit low-income households. And currently, you're programming your home funds for the home Rialto Revive, which is a home rehabilitation grant program. A big part of the consolidated plan is providing opportunity for citizens of the city to make comments, to provide input on how they would like to see the priorities be set and how they want to see the goals of how the funds are utilized. So HUD requires 2 public hearings, this being the first of the public hearings. And we also have a number of other activities that we follow to receive citizen participation. Surveys were conducted and established, so there were opportunities for the community to respond to surveys, as well as your public service providers and other regional organizations that provide services, as well as directors and staff are also, and our city council members are asked to also provide a response to the surveys. In addition to the city departments and commissions, we also present, for example, the annual action plan will be discussed at the ad hoc meeting, so they will be providing the input as well. And we've already conducted just about all of the nonprofit and regional organization interviews. And as I mentioned, this is the first of the 2 public hearings that are required for the adoption of the consolidated plan. There's another document that typically accompanies the consolidated plan. It's called the Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing. This document is not uploaded to HUD, but HUD requires that it does complement the consolidated plan, or at least that you're doing it from anywhere from every 3 to 5 years. And it's to take a look at the barriers to affordable housing and the impact on maybe those barriers that you have. So we're currently preparing the draft. We call it the AI, the Analysis of Impediments to Fair Housing, and that will also be available for review during the 30-day comment period. So the process today would be to open the public hearing, receive comments from the public just on what are their concerns and their issues. The priorities and the discussion, we'll be taking note on that. We also are assessing all of the surveys and any additional comments that will come in. Those are being considered, and that will be presented in the draft consolidated plan that will be routed to the city staff and ultimately finalized as a final draft that will be available for a 30-day comment period. We anticipate we'll have the final draft plan available March, maybe 3rd, 4th week in March, we're hoping. So much is dependent on the federal budget being approved and receiving our allocations. So at the moment, we do not know what the allocation will be for the upcoming year. So we're just anticipating the same amount, but we'll wait to see what comes through. And so these months and the HUD submission deadline of May 15th may and likely will change, and we'll be advising the staff on that. That concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer questions.
Are there any questions? I guess I open it up first from the public. Any questions from the public? Seeing none, anybody come forward?
No, it's just now since it's a public hearing.
It is a public hearing.
Yes.
And is there anyone from the public that would like to come up and make a comment? Or any questions in reference to the presentation that was done on community block grants? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Move to close the public hearing.
Motion's been
Second.
made to close the public session by Member Scott and seconded by Andy Cataceres. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none. Then we'll move on to the item itself for any questions from members of the council. Edward?
I don't have any questions right now.
I have a question, and you sort of like touched base on it, and that's as we start moving along, getting input from the community is to make sure that we continue to follow our guidelines and that we're actually giving to nonprofit organizations and affordable housing, and to make sure that we do an assessment and evaluation to make sure that they're in compliance. Because there's groups now that when they figure that there's money available, they're gonna be applying for funding. And we just wanna make sure that the services go back to our community in the city of Rialto and not outside the city of Rialto, because I know that there are some that have applied that are outside of the area but claim they're servicing the city of Rialto. So I'm very much concerned with that aspect of it, and I know that I talked to Carla today, basically about that, and then some of the recommendations that we had at the original meeting that we had with some of those programs that probably need to reassess and reevaluate and then make a determination, because part of it was also to look at the surplus money that we had even from COVID,
Correct. So the CDBG CV public hearing will be, I think it'll be at the next meeting. That'll be a separate matter. This is just for the consolidated plan development.
Right, but concerned with the funding aspect to make sure that we don't build everybody's hope and then we're cut off.
So part of that process of the consolidated plan will be to bring forth to the ad hoc committee the applications for the next fiscal year that we'll be able to deliberate those concerns and look at those.
Yeah, because the other alternative would be then if we're cut off in terms of community block grants, is there then a way, a process that we might be able to submit for additional grants for funding for some of these projects that may be good too as well? I don't know. It's something that we got to consider. With that, I have no other questions. All those in favor? Or we add a motion yet?
Yeah, you closed the public hearing, so now you're gonna take the action on the item.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ed Scott.
Second.
Seconded by Andy Cataceres. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposition? Seeing none? Thank you, Anna. Next, we'll move on to tab 3.
Yes, good evening. Tab 3 will be presented by Paul Guerrero, our Economic Development Manager. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. The item before you is a public hearing regarding the proposed issuance of approximately $70 million in tax increment bonds to enable the renovation of the 152 Citrus Grove residential affordable rental units at 1432 North Willow Avenue. The project involves National Community Renaissance of California, CORE, an affordable housing partner within the city of Rialto. CORE plans to renovate the multifamily affordable housing development to improve its quality and sustainability. Staff recommends to open the public hearing, take public comments, and approve and adopt the resolution. Representatives from CORE are present this evening to address any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there anyone that has submitted from the public?
No.
Hearing none, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Motion's been made by Carla. Seconded by Andy Cataceres. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Move approval of Resolution 8325.
Well, let's first vote on the other one, and then we'll, to close public
Thought we
hearing.
already did.
No, we just made the motion and seconded. So, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Now we'll go into the second. Ed,
Move approval of Resolution 8325.
second. Motion's been made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Second.
Now we'll move on to,
He seconded.
Oh, you seconded? Okay, thank you.
we'll move on to tab 4.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce Amy Crow, our administrative analyst, to present this item.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. This evening, I am requesting that the City Council conduct the public hearing for the placement of liens for the delinquent refuse collection accounts for the third quarter of 2024. On January 28th, 2025, the City Council approved the request to set the public hearing for this evening, February 25th, 2025, to review and consider the placement of liens related to delinquent refuse. Notices were mailed to the owners of the properties shown in Attachment 1 on February 3rd of 2025. At this time, I would request that the City Council conduct the public hearing, take public testimony, and consider the placement of liens against the delinquent properties identified on Exhibit A of the resolution, and adopt Resolution Number 8326, authorizing the filing of liens against the properties for delinquent refuse accounts with the San Bernardino County Auditor Controller Recorder's Office. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open it up for public comment. Is there anyone that, from the public interested in speaking? Hearing none, do I have a motion to close public hearing?
Motion to close public hearing?
Motion been made by Carla.
Second.
Hold on. Seconded by Edward Montoya. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. I guess it's all ayes, everybody's silent.
Mayor, I just need you to keep your mic on for me.
Oh,
Picking you
mic.
up. Thank you.
Thank you. I assume everybody said yes. There was a silent yes.
Roll call.
Okay, roll call. On public hearing.
Yeah, you closed the public hearing. Now you want a roll call?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Councilmember Caracellas?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Scott?
Aye.
Councilmember Perez?
Aye.
Councilmember Montoya?
Aye.
Mayor Baca?
Aye.
That's to accept Resolution 8326 for the liens.
Okay, at this time, we'll move on the item itself.
That's what we just did?
I thought we just closed the,
No, we ready to move to the
Okay.
next item.
all right, then we'll move on to item number 5.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, Cynthia, Parks and Recreation. The item before you is requesting that City Council continue the public hearing, soliciting comments from interested citizens on the substantial Amendment 7 of the 2020-2021 CDBG CV Annual Action Plan to March 11th City Council meeting.
Okay, any discussion? Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
No, I have no one from the public
None.
to want to speak on that item.
Do I hear a motion?
Move to continue the public hearing until March 11th, 2025.
Motion's been made by Mayor Pro Tem Ed Scott, seconded by Carla
Yes.
Perez. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Okay, motion carries. We'll move on to item number 6.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe I am going to do that item. This is not a public hearing, but it would require some public comment. This item has been before the council previously, not this year, last year. This has to do with reorganization of your commissions. Stated as simply as I can put it, we're going to consolidate 9 commissions into 4. The 4 remaining commissions are going to be the Parks and Recreation and Community Services Commission, which will also have duties with regard to seniors and senior activities. You'll have your existing Planning Commission, which is going to absorb the duties of your Mobile Home Rent Review Commission, as well as the previous Transportation Commission. You are also going to have a Cable Advisory and Utilities Commission, which is really just a consolidation of your prior Cable Advisory Commission and your Utility Commission into one. You're also going to have a Neighborhood Beautification and Historical Preservation Commission, which is a consolidation of two previous commissions, one being the Historical Preservation Commission, and the other one was the Neighborhood and Housing Beautification and Preservation Commission. And then those will be your four commissions. Each commission will have 7 members. There is a potential to add one non-voting student liaison to each one of those commissions. That'll give you 24 total commissioners, 4 student liaisons. The ordinance provides that the council will ultimately appoint all of the commissioners and select the student liaisons, should you choose to do that. And the council has 2 methods outlined in the ordinance to do that. The council can do this as a committee of the whole. All of the resumes that are received or applications will be provided to each one of the council members. The council as a whole will conduct interviews, and then the council as a whole will do nominations and appointment. Or, should you decide, the council can appoint an ad hoc committee of 2 council members to do the interview process and make recommendations to the full council. In both of those instances, all of the council members will get all of the applications, and the council itself will appoint those members. The ordinance does provide for a term limit on commissioners of 3 4-year terms. That will only be prospective. So if you're a commissioner now and you've served a bunch of years, you're not going to be barred from being on a committee. You can reapply, and the term limit works going forward. The commissioner who serves after this ordinance goes into effect, should you adopt it for 12 years consecutively on one committee, could serve on other committees, but they would need to take a 1-year break, and then they could reapply, and they could be on other committees. There will be a transition period this April where we'll switch over from the old system to the new system. Hopefully we'll make that pretty easy. That is really the nutshell of what we're trying to accomplish in this ordinance. I am available to answer any questions that you might have about it. Public comment is appropriate after you have your question period. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the council? Member Ed Scott?
Where is the repository for the applications going to be?
The clerk will do the solicitation in compliance with state law under the MADI Act, but all of the applications will be routed to the city manager's office, and that is provided for in the ordinance.
In the ordinance, okay. I just wanted to clarify that so the community understands. Okay, and are we starting applications over, or do we have existing applications?
You have some existing applications.
How old are they?
They go back, then we haven't received any new ones in probably in the last 3 or 4 months, but.
So wouldn't it be appropriate to reset the applications and kind of start over within the same time frame of the April date?
We certainly can. We didn't put that into the ordinance so that we could get your direction tonight as to when and how you wanted to start that process. So we can take your direction this evening if you choose to move forward and start a new application process whenever you designate.
You know, I think all individuals that are currently on there should probably apply for any one of these committees, and Just to give you a little history on it, there was a select committee of Ed Scott and myself that looked at the 9 different committees that we had, or commissioners that we had in committees, and there was a lot of absenteeism on some of them. In some areas, we didn't have a quorum. And so we decided it would be best to consolidate from 9 to 4, and then go through a process of having individuals apply for the 4 different commissions that will be there. Is that correct, Ed?
Yes, yes, and I think our anticipation was that anybody currently on an existing commission that wants to reapply, we would encourage them to do so.
And the ordinance expressly provides for that, too. We added that.
Are there any other comments? If not, are there any comments from members on the audience?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, at this time, I would like to see a motion.
Move approval of
Motion's been
ordinance 1699.
Motion's been made by Mayor Pro Tem Ed Scott. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Edward Montoya. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Roll call.
Roll call. Okay, we'll do a roll call.
I'm sorry, before we move forward, do you need direction now as far as the, council all as a whole reviewing the applications, or an ad hoc committee, or is that something that will come?
We don't need that now. We can bring this back to you in subsequent months after the applications have come in, and we can put it on, and you can decide how you want to do it then.
Whether we do it as a whole, or whether we assign an ad hoc committee, and then that ad hoc committee would come back with the recommendations to the whole body to approve the individuals that ad hoc has recommended, or make their own suggestions too as well.
Correct.
Roll call.
For ordinance 1699, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Rialto, California, amending chapters 2.16.2, 18.220, 222, 224, 227, 264, and 401, repealing the chapter 2.25 and 2.68 of the Rialto Municipal Code to consolidate and reorganize the city commissions. Mayor Pro Tem Scott.
Aye.
Councilmember Montoya.
Aye.
Councilmember Caricetos.
Aye.
Councilmember Perez.
Aye.
Mayor Baca.
Aye.
Thank you.
That concludes the items on the agenda. Next, we'll go into council members' report. We'll start with Carla. She put her green light on.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to share I had an opportunity to attend the fire department's pinning ceremony last Thursday. It was a great event. Very proud of our fire department, and a huge welcome to all of our new staff in the fire department, and congratulations to those who received promotions. And then also had the opportunity to attend the girls softball opening ceremony. It was a great event. It was great to see so many teams out there, different age groups, and the families out there supporting them. So wishing all the girls a great season. And a big kudos to the parents who are out there supporting them.
Thank you. Councilmember Edward Montoya, do you have anything to report or want to?
Well, I had the opportunity to also attend the fire department pinning ceremony and award ceremony. Great event. Congratulations to everybody who received an award and who was promoted. I also attended the girls softball at Frisbee Park. Very awesome event. There was so many people out there. The parents, it takes a lot to be a sports parent, and I really give it up to those families that take the time to invest in their children's lives like that. It's really awesome, and that's all I got.
Thank you. Andy Cadaceres?
Thank you, Mayor. Had the opportunity to help out on it, one of our food drives, distribution food drive here in the city of Rialto, Ferguson Park. Big shout out to our good friend Darius for putting this together. Darius from Never Stop Grinding. He literally never stops grinding, and he's always out there doing things for the community and really putting his whole family, including his mother and everyone that supports him, are out there helping out. And it was so close to the fire station that I hope that we could probably get some fire guys to help, because we were really running short on help there. So if anybody out there in the community wants to help out the next food distribution drive, please connect with Never Stop Grinding, Darius. He's on Instagram, and please give us a little hand, because we were a little short-handed. Also want to thank Commissioner, Mr. Calderon, who was out there for many hours helping out. So big shout out to them for helping out the community and giving back to the community, which is really important. And also, congratulations to all the recipients of the awards and all the promotions from our great fire department. Everyone had a very well-deserved promotion, so a big shout out to our fire department and all the promotions. Last year when I attended, I know it was very well organized, and you really, Mr. Park, you really go out of your way to make sure that this event is a stellar event and that very well attended. And congratulations on your event last week. And that's all I have today, Mayor Baca.
Councilmember Ed Scott?
Thank you. I have a request for a couple of items tonight. First off, I would like to see the financial report on the Renaissance Pacific area involving our agreement with Lewis, and that should be the current financials. I would also like to put those on the next closed session agenda for discussion amongst the council. Additionally, I would like to see a report on all projects that are in development services in the permit process, whether it be planning, entitlement, or actual building permits. And on that report, I would like the date the project was submitted, the date that it went into process, where it currently is at, and when it's expected to be completed and approved or not approved. And that should include all warehouses, all commercial projects, all residential projects, including apartments and houses. Additionally, from the Public Works Department, I would like to see the current paving plan, where we're at on that plan, and any areas that are not done, either paving or sidewalks, curbs, and gutters that need to be replaced. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Ed Scott, for bringing up some of the issues that are important to a lot of us all on the council right here that care very much. And along the same lines, before I actually give my report, I'd also like to make a request too as well. And I'm very much concerned, as I looked at the approval of the consent items, is on the consultant contracts that we have, that we need to really look at the consultants that we have, and if they have retainers, and what are they actually really doing, and are they bringing any kind of funding back to us? And if not, then I think we need to reassess, reevaluate some of these contracts that we have in terms of not only being cost effective for the city of Rialto, but looking at people that should be doing their job, and if they're not, then we need to reassess, reevaluate some of these contracts that we do have. So hopefully we can get a report on that. Next, I'd like to just report in reference to attending events. I'd like to state that I attended the Senior Sweetheart Dance. It was well attended by many of the seniors that were there. I also appreciate the fact that Tim Sullivan responded to our facility director out here, responded to a leak that was on the roof at the senior center. And hopefully that we'll take action and take care of the senior center there at Grace Vargas, because that could be a suit that could be coming back to us if we don't fix that suit. And a lot of these seniors are dancing. They enjoy dancing there on the floor, and I saw the leak, so hopefully we did. But it was well attended by many of the seniors that were there. Next, I attended the Black History Celebration that was sponsored by Rialto Unified School District. It was excellent turnout by not only the community, the members in the schools that participated in Black History, and I believe that our fire chief was also present at that one. I think you were, weren't you? Oh, I thought I saw you, but I don't know. Maybe somebody was imitating you. But it was well attended by many members of our community. And I just say, as we conclude Black History Month, that we continue to recognize many of the individuals. And one individual that I thought should have been recognized at that particular event was President Obama, because he stands out in reference to being an idol and a person that broke many of the barriers as President of the United States. But it was well done by the school district. I compliment Rialto Unified School District in putting on an excellent event. The next event, I happened to go in at the end because I was attending my granddaughter's Flag Day at another school. Then I ended up making it over to the Rialto Fire Department Awards Banquet and pinning. I'd like to congratulate all of the individuals that received an award and got pinned on that particular day. And I happened to put it on Facebook, and many individuals responded, and they said, the firefighters are our hero, the first responders. And it was very positive response from many individuals in the community that responded back to the posting that I did of the firefighters and some pictures that I took with some of the individuals. And I'd like to commend, the police department also for being present and honoring our firefighters. And that shows that we're both working together between the fire department and the police department. And I know that both our chiefs were there. They were actually included in the photo that I posted. Both of them were there along with some of the other individuals. So I commend both our fire department and our police department for being there. Last but not least, I attended the Rialto Girls Softball Association opening ceremonies, and as it was stated before, it was excellent turnout by members of the community. I think there was more people that attended this year than any other time that were involved, and a lot of them teams that were there had different kind of costumes, so it was nice to see a lot of the children and individuals wearing their costumes on that particular day, because Rialto has been a host to many of the softball tournaments that have been held here in the past. And I commend our Parks and Recreation for the facility that we have and maintaining it, because that's a compliment that we also received, and how clean, Rialto, at least Frisbee Park, and the cleanliness of the park itself and how it was maintained, so it was good. The only problem that I think that we all had was parking. There's just not enough parking. Two of my colleagues indicated they parked at one of the members' house. I tried to get in there, but there wasn't enough room for me, so I had to park down the street. Or
give you the remote. It's 20 bucks.
But it tells us that a lot of people are utilizing Frisbee Park, and we have to look at further expansion of the parking in that area to accommodate, because we host a lot of activities that are there too as well. And I'd also like to thank the fire chief that was there, Brian Park, and also Matt Blanco that were in attendance at that particular event. And that's all I have to report. And this time I'm going to call on our city treasurer, Ed Carrillo.
I have nothing to report. Thank you, Mayor.
Our city clerk,
Nothing report.
our city attorney, Eric Vale.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Then I'll start with our chief of police, Mark Klein.
I don't know, he's over here dropping everything, so I hope he's okay over there.
I think I need to get a bigger desk over there. Mayor Pro Tem and Council, what I really want to do and take this opportunity to actually convey to you really what the police department is doing. So last month, we handled 6,299 calls for service. We had an additional 3,495 officer-initiated stops. We compiled 384 arrests of individuals here in the city, and we took 1,167 reports. So if all this information is available on our website at rialtopolice.com under the crime mapping, what I'm trying to get the community to understand and also council is we're pushing out a lot more data just because of the systems that we've had, and we're improving on those. We're integrating a lot of other systems with a lot of other technology. So that's really my report. I know that we have a lot of things that we're trying to accomplish, and just out of information, sometimes what we would ask questions of, let's say, council or even the community is, what do you think our most busiest days are, right? What is our busiest days? And historically, when it comes to different types of crime, not calls for service, but just some of our Part 1 crimes. And those answers would come back, well, obviously it's gonna be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But this last month, we're actually the first 2 weeks of this month, the most busiest day that we've had is Wednesday. Wednesday is the busiest day that we've had for those types of crimes. So what I want to start doing is providing you some just basic information and giving you some updates on really what your police department is doing, what it's achieving, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you got, but thank you again for all your support.
Thank you.
I have a comment.
Mm-mm.
Have a comment.
A comment.
I want to congratulate our social media team at the police department. They're really active, really engaging. I appreciate all the positive stories that go out and all the just different holidays that are being celebrated and pushed out. Congratulations and thanks for having such a strong social media team out there that's really connecting with our community and engaging our community. Every time I look at it, there's hundreds of more followers. So it indicates you guys are doing a great job with that. So thanks again for that.
Yeah, I appreciate you recognizing that, council member. Just so the rest of the council knows is what I recognize internally is I had a choke point. And under an old structure with a former employee that actually had social media underneath them, what I did is took an opportunity and put the social media team along with PIOs in the police chief's office. And then I actually, it's a leaderless group. I don't have any one person other than the chief's office that's running social media. And I have a total of 14 individuals that actually push out both media and PIOs and media. And we're under a new scheme here is that we assign a social media person with a PIO on any incident, and then I just basically, you know, the old saying is let the horses run. I have a lot of faith in the team, and I provide them an opportunity to just develop, and I appreciate you recognizing, because I do think that since the changes have occurred, Rialto PD's brand and also what we're pushing out on social media is really starting to make an impact in our community.
Yeah, and for the most part, I read a lot of the comments, and majority of them, a huge majority of them are positive comments. And it just goes to showcase the good job that you're doing and the good job that the department's doing. So thanks again for that.
My folks make it easy for me, sir, but it's actually the PIO team and the social media team that are doing it. So thank you so much. I'll pass that along to them.
Okay, thank you very much for the update that you gave us as well. And if you can, I know that you have repeated this at other council meetings that we had, but I'm constantly being asked, and just to remind the public, they want to know when the police station is going to be up and running. So I know you've repeated that, you've said it to us, but since some of the public may not be aware that are listening tonight, they can at least know when it's going to be open. Would you give us an update on that?
You know, Mayor, I also want to follow up with that. I think what we're going to do is get the social media team to kind of push something out just as an update, I think, for the community. I think that'd actually be, you know, a suggestion of yours, yes. And the short answer is we should be in the building by the end of the year. And then the actual ribbon cutting when the old station is tore down and the new one is up and running is going to be summer of '26. So we're well on target. So, even though we're going to be in at the end of the year, it's not going to be finished. But that total project, summer '26, we should be in by the end of this year in '25.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'll call on Brian Park, our fire chief.
Chief, before you start on your report, can I ask you a question tonight?
Yes, sir.
Do you have your Narcan with you tonight?
Narcan?
Yeah.
No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, first I just want to say thanks for the attendance of everyone and for helping celebrate our people. It's important to us not only to recognize their efforts, but let their families see the organization and the city that they're a part of. Our fire families, miss a lot of time, miss a lot of birthdays, softball games, and, Christmases. And so it's really important for us to let the families at home who support our people to see what type of city and structure that their families are a part of. So I want to say thank you to that and congratulations to just like Chief Kling said, it's our planning team, Chief Blanco, and he's got a planning team that puts us together. They just do an excellent job. So I want to say thank you for that. Going to get a little bit of rain this weekend on Sunday, about a half an inch. March is severe weather preparedness month. The Public Works crew does a great job with sandbags and clearing our streets. So we've been doing very well in that space this year. I agree, the opening day for softball was the biggest one I've seen in quite some time. It was amazing to see. So, Cynthia, our parks team, and the rest of our staff do a really good job keeping that space clean. I got my steps in after parking and having to hike to the field, so got to work on it for the weekend there. But it was a great event. The weather was perfect, and so it was a really good time there. And so that's all I really have for you. Just thank you for the support.
Thank you. Next, I'll call on Tim Sullivan, Director of Maintenance and Facility, and the Assistant City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. No comments on activities, but thank you for the recognition and trust in me as the Assistant City Manager. I look forward to continuing my relationships with council and the rest of staff. I think we have a great team here, and under Tanya's leadership and council's, it should be a lot of positive progress in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'll call on the Director of Parks Recreation, Cynthia Alvarado Crawford.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. Here's what's going on in Rialto. San Bernardino County Probation Shelter Court will be held Thursday, February 27th at the Carl Johnson Center from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Rec and Roll will be at Ferguson this Saturday, March 1st from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Youth Sports Summer Season registration will open up on March 3rd, both online and in person, starting at 7 a.m. Our basketball sports program, we will be taking 3 teams to the BCYB basketball tournament held in Palm Springs on Saturday, March 8th and Saturday, March 9th. The Teen Center will be going to the San Diego Zoo on Saturday, March 8th. Application registration is required. The Spring Swing Senior Social will be Thursday, March 13th at the Grace Vargas Senior Center from 2 to 4 p.m. The Teen Center Super Smash Brothers video game tournament will be held Friday, March 14th at the Teen Center from 4 to 6 p.m. We will be taking about 6 teams to the SMAF basketball tournament, which will be Saturday, March 15th and Saturday, March 16th. There'll be the tournament will be held at 3 different sites. Fontana, Norco, and Rialto will be hosting an age group. We will be hosting the 8 and 9-year-olds from a variety of different cities. Rialto Pony League's opening day will be Saturday, March 8th at Bud Bender Park at 9:30 a.m. Rialto City Park Little League opening day will be Saturday, March 8th at City Park at 10 a.m. North Rialto Little League's opening day will be Saturday, March 15th at Birdsall Park at 9 a.m. Rialto Eastern Little League's opening day will be Saturday, March 15th at Frisbee Park at 10 a.m. There'll be a Bud Bender Park cleanup Saturday, March 15th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. The Department of Aging and Adult Services bus pass distribution will be at Grace Vargas Senior Center Wednesday, March 19th from 10 to 11 a.m. Feeding America's food distribution will be Wednesday, March 19th at Grace Vargas Senior Center from 9 to 11. And our spring extravaganza will be on Saturday, April 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Frisbee Park.
Thank you very much for your report, and thank you very much for everything that you've done in terms of the recreational activities and then updating the community of events that are coming up for them to possibly attend. I think our city is moving in a good direction, and hopefully we can continue to make them aware of other activities that we may have in the future too as well. With that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Tanya?
Oh, I'm sorry, Tanya. Tanya Williams, our city manager.
Nothing to report at this time. I was going to announce that Tim had been promoted to assistant city manager and wanted to thank him for his good work, but we've...
Tim who?
Tim Sullivan, our assistant city manager. But that was my only announcement for this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Hanan, and I apologize for overlooking that. And we appreciate the work that you've done since you've taken over the position as a city manager, and we look forward to working with you for many, many years to come too as well. With that, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion's been made to adjourn by Carla
Second.
Perez, seconded by Andy Caraceres. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposition? Hearing none? We're adjourned.